Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Nigeria Now, where we look at the happenings in the nation. Already, quite a number of things are happening in the country, which we would love to touch a bit of, and we hope that you'll be part of the conversation. So, do well to drop your comments, your views, your own opinions concerning some of these issues that we would love to discuss this afternoon. Of course, I'm Sarah Elisha. I'm doing the program with Rachel Tanzi. Good afternoon, Rachel.
Afternoon 7.
All right, we're going to start looking at some of the matters of the day. Of course, we are aware of the fact that the federal government have hiked the price of international passport. Initially, for those who will be hoping to spend about 5 years, it was initially 30,000, which it has now been increased to 50,000. And then as well, for those who are hoping to spend about 10 years or so, they will be spending about 100,000 naira rather than the 70,000 that it was initially. And of course, Nigerians are taking down the full list of things that have increased. Already we're seeing that a number of Nigerians are coming up so that the federal government have increased this to reduce the number of people japping out of the country. So this is going to make it more like very difficult for Nigerians that are hoping to get their international passport to leave the country. And then we've seen a number of people have taken it to X. Of course, that is the best place, social media, Facebook, and all of that, expressing their disappointment at the recent, hike. And then Nigerians are beginning to list that not only are we having hike in fuel, we're having hike in food prices, we're having hike in passport. Nigeria is not even a place for them to live. You know the way Nigerians, we can nag and nag as long as it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, the federal government said that the reason why they're doing this is just to more like make our passport more quality, looking at certain things that they need to upgrade to make Nigeria to be worthy of what other countries are. Integrity is very important as much as also the quality of the passport. But I mean, you just can't help already. Nigerians will feel that maybe it's a little bit bad timing for them, but we know already everything needs a review, upgrades, and all of that. But it is what it is. So if you are hoping to get an international passport, you should know that, and it's going to be effective from 1st of September. So I do not know if between now till Sunday, 1st of September, you should be able to get your
Of
passport at the
course.
old price, fine. But if not, you should just have it at the back of your mind that from 1st September, the new money now is going to be 50,000 and 100,000, depending on how long you'll be you're spending outside the country.
Of course, Nigerians know way better than the reason cannot be because of Japa. Passport is just one step to the many other steps you take if you want to leave the country. You have visa. That's what, whether you have a passport or not, in the end is that if you don't have a visa for where you're going to, you don't leave. And a passport is something that you can get it between 3 days and all of that. When you go to the immigration office, there's a wait of over 8 weeks or thereabout. You pay the normal fee and you wait. However, if you want it within 2 3 days, a week, depending on how quick you want to, maybe the fixed price is at 30,000. However, if you want it express, is at 45,000. It is everywhere. This is not a corruption kind of thing.
Course.
Yes, this is not something to drag our immigration office for. No, it's like that. Even when you go to the visa office, if you want your visa process quickly, they do have options for you to pay earlier. So this is not something we drag them for. And definitely when you want a 32-page 5 years passport, it's 30,000 before, and then if you want 62-page 10 years, it's above. And a lot of people have been able to make that, and it's not to stop you from living that, because I know that there are people that will afford that 50,000 as long as there's a need for them to leave the country. And there are people who will give that 100,000 as long as there's a need. People should stop shouting tomorrow, if on social media,
First.
tomorrow, when they get the opportunity to actually a concrete reason to, 50,000 would definitely not be a problem compared to visa and then even flight ticket. That should even be your concern, not how much a passport is going for. Now, what Nigerians also fail to understand is that as long as a ministry, agency, parastatal have any purchasing a need, procurement, they make certain things, inflation would also affect them. And that is just what it means, because it's not about upgrading the quality. Like when you look at the percentage, you know that there are other costs that is making this passport to go high. And as long as we import our papers, we import our plastic, we import everything we use to make what we need in this country, and we know what the dollar is, it's closing in as at last week at over 1,600 in the exchange market, and so far so good this week. It is still high, it is not going down, and therefore this affects every other place that needs to make or give products to consumers and all of that. And the immigration is not exempted from all of these. And concerning giving our green passport integrity, is still a green passport. It's not about the quality. If the passport we currently have can take you anywhere, then it has a good enough quality. The integrity is in the people and what we stand for and how we represent ourselves out there. So this just by the way, but I think the number one reason which they clearly stated is probably cost of production. They might not come out because yes, there will be backlash from like is the inflation also hitting you hard, or but they wouldn't come out because it's expected that when something is coming from the government, it's subsidized and all of that. We shouldn't be able to feel the impact of the cost of production, most especially when a service is coming from the federal government. However, we're seeing that the immigration is doing what they can. However, they still have to charge and for certain things. But then 50,000, 100,000 today, seller, if you get the opportunity, you need to go, be it for work, be it for residency, be it for travel. I don't think if you can travel and afford tickets of millions and visas that is in hundreds of thousands, 50,000 naira to make a passport will be out of reach for you. I don't think so. So it's definitely not to stop Nigerians from leaving the country.
No, we definitely just have a way of looking for an excuse to backlash our government for every improvement, anything we see. But just like you clearly explain, I mean, every sector is going through the inflation, whether we want to accept it or not. And I think rather than us focusing on the fact that it's stopping Nigerians from living, we should focus on what can we do to make sure that all of these things that we are importing, we are having them here locally. I mean, maybe when we start doing that, you'll see that maybe your passport will go back to being 30,000 or maybe even 10,000. Who knows? You know. So for now, I think just like you said, it's not to stop anybody from leaving the country. Of course, Nigerians will say what they want to say regarding that. But we saw even the aviation, how much are you spending? Every sector is looking toward, doing what? Upgrading, changing certain things. And so there's a need for changing price and all of that. So I think just like you said, if you can afford millions for your visa and all of that to leave the country, I mean, 50 to 100,000 should not be a big deal to you. So, I mean, that is what the Minister of Interior have to say concerning that. And I hope that you get all the backing he can get, so that we can see that immigration will not suffer as well, because they also need to be well taken care of. Now, we're looking at the issue. We started talking about education, I think, earlier this week, concerning the fact that ASU have given a 21-day, not warning, strike notice to the federal government. The fact that there's so many things they have listed, talking about emergency revitalization, talking about the fault of public university, payment of their outstanding arrears, salaries, and so many other things, even talking about that they want to also have their own autonomy financially. I think they have been moving for that for quite a number of years right now, talking of the fact that if it's going to be a challenge to the federal government to be funding them, then maybe they should be independent, spending their own funds the way they feel. I mean, school fees are being paid, so all of that, they can use that to have their running costs in the university and all of this, because it's taking too long for the federal government to really pay attention. Here we're seeing that the Ministry of Education is saying that the federal government is trying to work out modalities, ways to make sure that this strike does not go on. But I know that I mean, this is the first time for me that when I'm seeing the federal government is taking them seriously, because this union is a union that doesn't play. And after their meeting, hopefully, because they've had a meeting initially with the government, I don't know what this will be different, but I'm hoping that the federal government really, really have something tangible to give these lecturers, because they may be say when they say they will go on strike, and I'm really afraid of their calendar to be affected. So I'm hoping that the government have all that it takes to stop this body from going on strike, because once they strike already, there is a tampering with the academic calendar for the session 2024-2025. And of course, we know what it means for those who wrote JAM this year. they will have no hope, not to even talk about those who are hoping to write JAM next year. So you tend to see that you keep shifting and all of that, and it's really not something that we want. So this is what the Ministry of Education is saying regarding that. But then let's just keep our fingers crossed and see how will the meeting and what are the moves the federal government are making. Hope it's not just words of mouth, but they have something tangible that will stop this body from moving on, going on strike.
So I don't think the government is taking ASU seriously. I think the government plans on doing what it's best at doing, and that is, rather than solving it, they prevent the issue. And that's exactly what they say they are trying to do. And that is beating around the bush. If the academic staff union have come out and told you, you know what, this is our need and this is what we want. If you are not meeting the need, you are not taking them seriously, period. We can't call it any other thing. We're calling a spade a spade. If you come to me, Sele, as my as your boss, and you say you are due a promotion and a salary increase, or you quit, your demand is a salary increase or a promotion. These two things, either way you're going to go. Now, when your boss decides to give you, that's me, a bonus, he's just trying to buy time. Is he solving the problem? No.
No, of course not.
He's just preventing you from going, and it's stop at that. ASU, the federal government is not doing anything whatsoever to take ASU seriously. They will try to buy time. They will try to prevent ASU from going on a strike, which is what they are very good at. But if it comes to taking ASU seriously, they are not. And the federal government can say whatever they want to say, but the fact is the fact, and it's facing us as it is. There are needs. It's not today that ASU have told you to stop giving license to more and more universities. It has an adverse effect on education. It reduces the standard of education in the country, and you keep giving approval for these universities and they are underfunded. And a lot of students go to school, finish certain course, and they can't get a certificate because it is not accredited. We've had such cases in the past and all of that, but it's not today. But what the federal government keep going on, and so are you taking ASU seriously or not? There are certain funds, allowances that they have listed out to you and say, we need this and that because our standard of education is struggling. We need to be at this level and at this standard, and you've not done anything. Are you taking ASU seriously? No. There are certain deductions that lecturers are complaining have been removed from their account from a third-party deduction. They've been taken out from the single account and they've been put under this new IPIS where they're forcing them to make certain registration, and they're saying, no, we cannot, and all of that. The government is trying to tell them, you know what, you have to start giving us revenue. And we know that these universities are already struggling with the number of students they have, the facilities and everything. These universities, you're just going to juice them dry if they are to start giving you any. It's not enough what they are generating. They need your support and you're asking them for more. And then also have no option than to say, you know what, give if you are not going to meet our needs as government universities under you, we are going to they just have to be bold and say certain things like, well, we can become independent. But everybody knows that if today federal universities should become independent, we're more or less going to become private, because if they will run it on their cost without anything coming from the federal government, tuition fee is going to be high. But either way, with the frustration from the federal government, they're saying, you know what, we are going to try better if you will just let us be. So the question is, have any action so far so good taken by the government shows that they are taking ASU seriously? No. They prevent them from going to strike. They buy time. They come back, but the needs have not been met. So either way, is the government doing what they know how to do? Rather than solving the problem, they beat around the bush and try to prevent these lecturers from going to strike. But you see, the thing is that you can stop them now. You might not stop them tomorrow. Okay, fine. If you keep stopping them, what will be the future of education in Nigeria?
Richard,
and that is the biggest concern.
That is the biggest concern. This is a $1 million question, and I just hope the government have a response, because you can only delay it.
Yeah.
But for how long? And even if the lecturers are willing to teach, believe you me, they are not teaching under a conducive atmosphere.
They're not.
No wonder we see a number of harassment going on in school. We see exploitation going on. Certain handouts that have no business whatsoever with you. You are being forced to buy certain books because the lecturer needs to make a book, and you just can't help but wonder, what does this book have to do with what I'm studying? But you have to buy that book, or you risk maybe a carryover for that course. We've passed through the tertiary institution. We know how certain universities operate.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we have half-baked lecturers out there.
We do.
Students that cannot even defend the certificate that they have. Architects that cannot even draw certain buildings as is expected. Doctors that do not know what to do with patients. So what are we saying? So when we look at all of these things that are happening, we just cannot help but, the fingers going back to the government. If only you've provided. Okay, for example, you go for GST courses, you just cannot help but see the number of people. And then the environment is not even conducive. You have to sit over 100 of you in a particular class trying to get a lecture. And sometimes you can't even hear what the lecturer is saying, because he'll tell you he or she cannot stress himself to make sure that you hear him at the back of the class. So it's either you're early or you forget.
Yeah.
Now, who is to blame for all of this? The federal government. Just like you're saying, if they are to be independent, how many people will be able to afford? Already we're saying that even the student loan that is being given, not everybody
Not everybody.
met the criteria that was needed for you to be able to have that loan. So just imagine what parents have to go through preparing for a new session, thinking about how much tuition fee is going to be. Let's forget that you have to pay acceptance fee if you're coming in as a fresh student, before paying the school fee, going through certain registration left, right, and center. Before you realize it, what you spend, you just cannot help but, So I'm hoping, honestly, just like you listed, there are so many things that need to be attended, because just like you said, when we open this can of worm, we discover there is another decay.
Yes.
And no wonder we saw one of the papers looking at the first year of the president's his cabinet members, the ministers. How many of them can boldly stand and say, for the past 1 year, I've performed well in my ministry?
Yeah.
How many? We're looking at our health sector going down every day, education, and ISO, and so many other sectors as well. So I think this is the time where I hope, just like you said, they are not taking the union serious, and you just can't help but wonder why. I've asked this question, you've asked this question, many Nigerians have asked this question.
Yes.
Maybe when your wards are studying and they are back to tell you, this is the way my lecturer behaved, this is the way there are not enough seats for us in the classroom, this is what is happening. Just maybe you'll be able to take them seriously, and then you'll be able to start fixing things that need to be fixed. So let's just keep our fingers crossed. We're doing the countdown together with ASUU. It's 21 days already. I think about 4 or 3 days have gone so far. So we have barely less than 2 weeks, or 2 weeks or more. So let's just see what the government will do before then. Well, I think that's how far we can go, Rachel. Thank you so much for doing this.
You're welcome, Sally.
As well, thank you to the entire crew. Thank you to our viewers and our supporters. Until we come your way tomorrow, please do have a wonderful day ahead.